why is self-love so difficult for women? It's because we were told who we were not. So we doubted who we could become.
We were told who we were not, so we doubted
who we could become. And we're supposed to do it all. If we wanted a career back in the day, 70s, 80s, if women wanted to work outside of their home and experience a different part of themselves, well, sure, as long as everything else you committed to as the spouse, the wife, gets done, do it. And women have still carried that. I'm so shocked that my millennial clients are still dealing with that with their millennial husbands or partners.
It's very relevant.
All right, welcome back to our episode of Remember You in our new recording studio. Thank you for joining us. We are excited to have you. So today on the show, I am thrilled to have Colleen Lovelight. She is an author of her own book, which we're going to learn a lot about. She's also a certified natural health professional, craniosacral therapist, an ICF certified life coach, and the founder of the Lovelight Connection. With over 30 years, she brings business, government, and holistic healing. She's the creator of the transformative cranial heart sync modality, which I'm very excited to hear more about. The author of The Divine Feminine Emergence, Women Awakening the New Paradigm Through Self-Love. And I have it right here so we can reference it. By the end of this episode, you're going to walk away with fresh insights on embodying the divine feminine and practical tools for self-love and heart coherence, and inspiration for blending practical life with profound energetic healing. Well, I need some of that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'm turning 61 next month. And so I preface that because I've had 3 careers throughout my life. And the first one was in banking, and then it was in government, and now in holistic health. And while I was in government, I was attending trainings in schools for becoming a full-time holistic practitioner. And I was just a profound calling within my heart. And I think it goes back through time watching people doing things they hate, in as far as spending 8 hours a day with people they couldn't stand in toxic environments and watching themselves get sick. And I can't tell you how many people I met that said they were working toward their pension, especially in government, because they give you a really good one.
Right.
And they were becoming sick, and they were very toxic people. And I thought, I am not doing that. I made sure I got enough education to get myself into a part-time gig. And then I gave it all up. I gave up almost, it was close to 6 figures if you include all my bonuses and everything, for a job that paid me $32,000 a year.
What?
Mm-hmm. I did that in 2010.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. And I was managing a chiropractic clinic, and I was a practitioner, and I was doing all of these beautiful things for people. And it was just really a calling of my heart. And I had, kids at home, and I was lucky enough that my husband at the time, he earned enough money to, cover the loss of salary. And I already had a pension, and I felt really beyond called to do this work. So I didn't want to become one of those people who were working in government and hating my life and getting myself sick, especially women. That's the thing. Like, women will just keep doing and doing and doing ourselves to the point of illness.
So I can relate to that. I had 2 small kids. I was going through a divorce, and I was building a company, and I poured my entire heart and soul into it. And then I also was working out like 2 hours a day, not really feeding my body the right things. And at the end of those, kind of from 2019 to 2023, at the end when I finally sold my company, I had to have a full hip replacement. My hormones were all like jacked up. I had like so many things going on with me. And I'm lucky enough now that I've been able to like take a step back, but I still feel that little bit of, I don't know, it's like masculine energy that I need to provide and do and work, even though I know the magic of my mind and I've done a lot of the work and stuff like that. So my question to you is, if you could go back and tell the younger version of me that was working and got sick, what would you tell me to do?
Well, I would first ask you, would the younger version of yourself really listen to what I had to say? Because that's oftentimes, first of all, women make up stories, but some of it's story made up and some of it's life situation. We have to earn a certain level of comfort, money, right,
Yes.
living, and provide that for a family. Because now the role has changed to where women do have to participate in that, which is great because we have the opportunity to expand our heart in other ways, like I had, If it wasn't for my husband at the time to hold space for me, I wouldn't have been able to explore the healing, holistic world. If you were a client who came to me, and I have plenty of them, I've had thousands of women and men and children that I've worked with in the 30 years. I've done this part-time because I did this part-time and I was a Reiki certified practitioner, and I would do this with even coworkers and friends of friends. So when I go back in time, I think about all the things and all the people I've worked with. Now, back to your question, I would ask, how are you feeling about how you're doing yourself? How are you feeling in your life? And what is one thing we can do? Because we're going to be practical, right?
Right.
We can't just say, well, you need to change your diet and your lifestyle. You got to work out and you got to take care of yourself. And it doesn't mean take care of yourself by getting a manicure. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
People are like, I practice self-love. I get a pedicure and a manicure. I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's self-care. That's a little bit different. It's part of self-love, but let's talk about the bigger picture, right?
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to go in with 100 different things. What I'm going to do is let's talk about it. And instead of taking things out of the diet, I ask, can you add vegetables to the diet? Let's talk about what kind of vegetables you do. Little things make a big difference, because then you send an energy frequency out to the universe and the universe goes, oh, you do love yourself. Let me give that a little bit back to you. But we go through cycles in life and we repeat patterns. And, everybody says, I got through my trauma and I got over it and I'm done with it. And yes, but let life bring you another situation that we're going to revert back.
So I'm going through that right now. I know life's a journey, not the destination. But then when life throws you something that wasn't in the cards and you go back to, I'm scared and I don't know if I love myself enough to go and do these things, or I don't see a way that this is going to be a good outcome, then you start to revert back into this scared child.
My go-to behavior was, can I swear on this?
Yeah.
I was an asshole in banking and in government because I was all about getting the job done. And as some of my clients have used the word robot, like we were robotic, we're doing all the things we need to do. And I was an aggressive little thing back then. And I was competing, look at this. In the 80s, I was in corporate banking.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to compete with men who were 1980s men. That patriarchal kind of energy so I became one of them. Mm-hmm. And then I also became a single mom. And then I was always the breadwinner with my first marriage. So having to reinvent myself time and time again in my career, identifying myself from, being married with children to now a single mom, all that required this warrior energy, this masculine energy. And it's a safe place. And I write about that in my book too. It's like it was safe for me to go back into that. But what that did was, my daughters are in their 30s now, and they're like, you are nothing like you used to be, because I was not emotionally present with them. I was a robot. I took care of them. Like they're saying to me, you didn't cuddle with us. I'm like, no, I might not have been that cuddly. I might have been pretty much, let's get this done, let's get that done, let's go, we have to function, we have to survive. And so I believe that going back to those patterns has to take a lot of conscious awareness and practice and question, like a cognitive question and answer. Is this the truth? Is this where I want to, does this feel good to me? Is this where I want to be? Is this how I want to be? And it can be daunting for some people. I've worked with executives, and it's funny, I had this one woman executive, and she was treating her husband like an employee.
Yeah. I said, wait.
We do that.
Yeah, she's like, he would put the dishes away, but he wouldn't put them away. And then he has all these sticky notes all over the house. And I'm like, can't you get this done? This is your project. This is what you said you would get done. You didn't get done. I said, wait a minute, is he your husband or your employee?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh God, you're right. I was treating him like that. And, so she shifted her perspective and started talking to herself and giving herself love. Because once we open space for ourselves and we can get into how that looks, we can be more accepting and loving for the people in our lives and situations that come up. So we don't go back into those patterns. It's okay to have that shadow or that trauma in the rearview mirror as long as it's not running the show, right? I'm aware that that's something I could do and I might go back to, but I'm going to do everything I can not to do that again because I didn't want to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Speak to me a little bit about the Reiki. We're going to switch gears for a second. So what made you decide to get into Reiki and energy healing? I have my book out that my girlfriend, she's really into Reiki. She gave me this. I've never actually had Reiki done. So like for somebody who's listening, like I know people who have, I know people who do it, but I haven't done it. So what made you get into it and what is it?
So Reiki is an ancient practice of energy work, focusing on chakras and many other things, but basically helping the body to heal through energy work. And I can get into that in a second. The reason I got into it was I got divorced from my high school sweetheart in 1996. And my girlfriend Rose, who's my Reiki master teacher, said, I'm doing this Reiki stuff. Now she was in the height of her career at the time. And she's older than me. She's about 15 years older than me. And I said, what? And she's like, I'm doing this Reiki stuff. You should get on my table. I go, what are you talking about? And then when I came over, she's got this music playing and the room looks amazing. And then she's got this rock for me. She goes, I want you to have this rock. And I'm like, why are you giving me a rock? And then she gives me this book, Trust Your Vibes by Sonia Choquette. And she signed it for me. And she says, I want you to start learning about the power you have within you. Now, here I am, I'm like 31 years old. I'm a single mom. And I'm like, what the heck? But I had a near-death experience as a child. So I was like, oh, okay. I did talk to Spirit. And I was like, well, why am I being resistant? So I got on the table and I learned, and then she taught me more and more. And so that's kind of the beginning of, well, she didn't give me a rock, she gave me a crystal. And I did scientific research on crystals, and they have a lot of the same elements we have in our body. And why do they resonate with us? Oh, and why is there a crystal quartz satellite going around Mother Earth? And why does crystal quartz work in our old watches and all this other stuff? Because they have energy and it keeps balance, and they're real. It's a real thing. And even Nikola Tesla, that's it, yeah. He even said that, they're living. Our crystals and stones are living.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of reading on that. So is that what you do with your Reiki practice?
Well, I no longer really practice Reiki.
Okay.
What I do is, over the years, a lot of practitioners will tell you they've taken training in all these different modalities and then they blend it and make it their own, right? I would say in 2010, when I left that government job and went full-time into this, the Reiki practice became less about Reiki, but we still called it Reiki, and more about the quantum field. Okay?
All right.
Mm-hmm. And so if I look at the body, I approach it scientifically. Well, our cells have to vibrate to separate. We have spinal fluid that goes up and down the dural tube. Our heart beats, our breath moves, our brain is active, and there's an electromagnetic field around all of this. There are megahertz measurements and photons of light on how we can measure our energy. We are a quantum field inside skin. And that quantum field inside of our bodies affect the quantum field of which people call our aura or our energy field around us. And then mine affects yours. And then what I feel, it's like this vibrational frequency that goes out to the greater universal quantum field. And so I thought, well, if I'm working on the physical body, why can't I treat it in such a way that would be more profoundly effective, that blended the physical part of craniosacral therapy and the energy, which is a lot of practitioners do that. Mine it morphed into something a lot deeper and more profound for clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you came up with this by kind of merging different techniques that you've learned along the way to make it your own, and then people are saying, like, give me some examples of what your clients are saying after they've been working with you?
I'll say the first time I learned that working off the body besides Reiki was probably in 2011 when I had a woman who couldn't be touched because she had extreme pain in her body. She came in a wheelchair, but she wanted to experience craniosacral therapy. And I thought, how am I going to do? There's a protocol, and you have to physically touch the person to do releases. And I thought, well, I'm going to do them around her energy field. And she could feel the frontal bone release. She could feel the parietal. She could feel the movement in her body. She could feel the release of tension and pain. And I was about 6 to 8 inches off her body doing all these things.
Okay.
And I thought, well, okay, the body is still leading me through this work, right? Yes, I have my intuition. Yes, she has hers, and there's all this beautiful other energy to consider, but this was really profound for me. So I expanded into that, and I started letting the body lead me more and more. And so all the protocols that I do now incorporates the energy. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
So I do physical manipulations, and I say that because then nobody really gets it. I just say, I'm just touching the body because it sounds weird, right? So there is a certain protocol that I developed, and that's why I teach it now, because I don't want to keep doing that work. I want to teach people to do it.
Yeah, so that it gets like a legacy that you're able to pass down, because other people, the more people that know how to do this work, then the more people we can all help.
And when people get on my table, it's like 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be the full hour. Of course, we prefer the full hour for full relaxation, but I'm also a coach, right? So I talk with them about what they have going on in life, where they're at, and when we're having a conversation about their challenges or their good things, and then we get them on the table, the body is ready to release.
Yeah.
Because we brought all that energy forth.
Okay. So I've had people on this podcast that do sound healing and different types of healing. And one of the things that stuck out to me and that I've noticed is everybody kind of says the same thing when we're talking about energetic healing, is that we, like you said, you and I are interacting right now, our kind of auras are merging, and maybe something that I'm carrying might like get stuck onto you from interacting with me. So this energy healing, kind of the best way I've heard it say is like it kind of rips off the cords that are kind of attached to you, like kind of drowning down your energy.
It clears the field.
Okay.
Yeah, sound can clear the field. Light can clear the field. Another person can clear the field. You can clear your field. But I don't like when people say, oh, that energy stuck to me.
Okay.
We are affected by other people, but if we start having accountability and figuring out how to not let anything stick to us, that we'll be more empowered.
Okay. Yeah. It's taking your power back and not being in victim mode again, because we like to be in victim mode.
Yes. We like to be in victim mode because it's comfortable and everybody can, feel bad for me. And, it's disempowering.
Yeah.
It really is. If I give somebody else control to make me feel a certain way, then I'm not empowering myself to not allow that to affect me. Same with energy, right?
Yeah. So what do you think about, this is kind of like a little bit of an out there question, but when you're like in a realistic situation with somebody, let's just say, like I deal with a lot of people at work all day long, right? I do a lot of coaching with people who are executives and different things like that, but everybody has a boss, right? Or a manager that they have to report to. And when they're in a situation where, say, it's less than ideal, which a lot of people are in, and the relationship is not good, the manager's leading from fear and anxiety and all that, and then it's piling down onto the people, I always teach that it's the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But we also have to take accountability for what we're feeling and how we're reacting, right? So what would you say to people who maybe can't leave a job because they are, or they've been looking and maybe haven't been able to find something and they can't leave? What would you say to do to protect yourself and kind of take your power back?
Well, the first thing I would say is what do you do when you wake up? We grab our phone and we scroll.
Yeah.
If we stop that first thing in the morning and close our eyes, do some stretching, this is 60 seconds, take a few deep breaths and focus on one thing that we love in our life. And I don't care if it's a pet, a memory, a movie, time with friends, your lover, your children, your grandchildren. Focus on that one thing that makes your heart smile and breathe that into your body with 5 breaths.
Okay.
And then you can reach your phone, because now you've set the tone of love. That's a tiny bit of what heart coherence is it's activating something that makes my heart smile and light and bringing that energy into my body. Another way people can protect themselves is by imagining a force field around you, right? That people say a mirror, others say like, color, a bubble, and so that you are not able to even have any other that negative energy stick to you.
Got it.
And also we're conditioned to allow all those negative thoughts to stick to us. And, if we get a review at work, right? And the boss is like, you're 99%, but there's this one thing you need to improve on. We're gonna focus on the one thing, the negative thing, the one negative thing that the boss said or anybody says about us.
Yeah.
I do it when I do surveys on a class I gave or a workshop. And I'm like, oh, but this, and my girlfriend's always like, are you kidding me right now? Like, why are you doing that? Because I could be better. But we're not perfect.
No, we're not perfect.
And we don't resonate with everyone. So then at bedtime, doing the same thing, focusing on that one happy part of our life.
Okay.
True love. It could be anything, like I said. It could be petting your little animal, your pet, cat, dog, whatever. Or I watched a really funny movie not that long ago, and I was like, oh my God, I was cracking up so much. I was like laughing when I was thinking about it again. And if we just do that, we just really, oxytocin goes up.
Yeah.
Right? And that is powerful to help the central nervous system to calm down.
I mean, that is just, it's very simple and it takes literally a minute. So if you get nothing out of this podcast except for that, if you do those two things, I would highly recommend it because you're putting yourself into those feelings and that's where you need to be, right?
Yeah. My clients at first, I have had so many, and I have some of them who were very resistant to that. And that's also self-love, by the way, lack of. And I said, okay, well, imagine your DNA and your cells are dividing and you're happy and they're dividing in your happy energy. And those are going to be happy. But if you're allowing yourself to be stuck in that place of negative thoughts and toxic energy, then your DNA responds to that. And so does how your cells divide.
Yeah.
Are they going to divide in toxic energy or are they going to divide in happy?
There's a study that they did with pancreatic cancer about that. I can't remember. I'll have to find it and put it in the show notes. But they did a study that showed just thinking negative thoughts on one of the pancreatic cancer cells, they just multiplying and it was just going faster and spreading in the petri dish. And then the other side, they were doing somebody was thinking positive thoughts, kind of doing energy healing without the touch.
I love that because they were doing that. Dr. Emoto, he had done a study on water, the molecular structure of water.
Yes, I saw that.
And so now they're doing it on cancer cells, and I love that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll find it and put it in the notes. But yeah, it's doing exactly what you're saying. So you can do that within your own body.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, we have the power. We forget about how much power we really have to make ourselves feel okay, even in bad situations. And to take back our power by thinking through the day. If you're having a really bad interaction, and don't let that sit with you, take those happy thoughts with you in the car when you're way home and change your energy frequency.
Yeah.
And your life and how you're experiencing life. It changes how we experience life.
Yeah.
Even if we're going through some bad things. Laughter raises oxytocin. And there was this study, and I don't even know, this was so many years ago, that there were children going through chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And they watched SpongeBob, and they were laughing, and they had less symptoms. They would make sure they watched funny things.
That's so cool. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about your book. So what prompted you, obviously, to be able to leave a legacy behind for your family, but also teach people? What prompted you to start this book, and what are some of the key messages that you want people to walk away with?
For me, divine feminine emergence, we're delayed. We're way behind times. We should be evolved by now. And I'm going to give you 2 facts.
Okay.
Out of 195 countries in the world, 14 have fair and equal rights for women.
Wow.
The United States ranks at 16.
Oh, wow. Okay, I did not know that. I am very enlightened right now.
Yeah. And they say 78 to 80%. I know it's more than that, because if you look at other studies, autoimmune diagnoses are more than 80% of women.
Interesting. I did kind of know that.
Yeah. And so just those two facts, we think about what the world energy has put upon us and what we've experienced, whether it's our, grandma, mother, women in society, how we've experienced ourselves. This is the information that's factual, that's out there. And I would like to use that quote in my book, Why is Self-Love So Difficult for Women? It's because we were told who we were not, so we doubted who we could become.
We were told who we were not, so we doubted who we could become.
Yeah.
That is so...
We're not equal, and we're supposed to do it all. If we wanted a career back in the day, 70s, 80s, if women wanted to work outside of their home and experience a different part of themselves, well, sure, as long as everything else you committed to as the spouse, the wife, gets done, do it. And women have still carried that. I'm so shocked that my millennial clients are still dealing with that with their millennial husbands or partners.
It's very relevant. I think I'm blessed. My husband does a lot of like the cooking and stuff like that, which it takes a lot of stress off of me, but I still do the majority of the cleaning and all these things, right?
You run the house.
I run the house.
You decide the vacations.
Yeah.
You plan them.
Yeah.
Right? But part of that is our own fault, not just because we are doing it, but maybe we didn't ask our partner to participate in it, or maybe we criticize our partner when they do it wrong.
That's right. I do that.
It is what it is, because we are so used to being in control and doing all the things that if it isn't done this way, then something wrong is going to happen. And that's not the truth.
You're like, what I do is I notice I start going into the negative space when I feel like I'm losing control. And in reality, I have no control except for over me, right?
Right. We cannot control any other circumstance other than how we feel and how we do ourselves. And that in and of itself is empowering once we realize that.
Right. And it's a journey though. It's like I know that, but it goes back to what you're saying. It's like being able to keep it in the rear view mirror, and not have it come back in front of you rearing its head. And when something triggers, I'm like, it comes right in front of me. And it's like, are you going to do it? What are you going to choose? Which one are you going to choose?
Yes. To recognize that we do have choices most of the time.
Yeah.
I would say some of the time we don't. We got to do the thing. We got to do whatever the thing is just to get it done, to do it, to be okay, and then forgive ourselves. Because self-forgiveness is also very lacking.
Yeah. We talk about Ho'oponopono a lot, and it's, saying, hey, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And it's not only for yourself, but for other people around, right? And being able to say just shit happens, Yeah.
But we were talking about earlier about getting through a trauma and it also applies to any shadow energy, like whether we have deep anger, resentment, or guilt and shame, all of that. A lot of women feel very guilty about choosing themselves, what they think they're choosing themselves over their time with their children.
Yeah.
And if we know it and we know we're okay with it, that's one thing, but we have to really know it here and believe it with every part of our being. I have clients who struggle around money. And they don't have enough, and they never have enough, and they're afraid of money, and then they sometimes they have money, and then they don't have money. It's on and off again relationship with the money. And I said, well, do you really truly believe that you have the ability to hold on to that money, to have it and hold it and to live with it? And they're like, oh, I guess I don't. I think it's just like a mindset. And they set these mantras. Mantras are a great way to start chipping away, but self-love and believing we deserve more, that we have this innate right as a divine being, is really a different story than a mantra that we sort of half believe.
Yeah, it's so true. Because so when I do hypnosis with clients, and a lot of times I see almost all my in-office clients are kids. And one of the big things that I work with them is self-love and self-worth. And I ask them on a scale from 0 to 10, where are they in, do they love themselves? Mm-hmm. And most of the kids are like, I don't know what that even means. Right. And so so how do you teach somebody what love is, right? So you have to kind of step back and be like, when did you feel held? When did you feel warm? Some of those things. And so I think, what would you say to people who, they don't even know where to start with like self-love?
It's that remembering again, that little exercise in the morning and the afternoon, but also talking about how does it feel when you speak your truth and set boundaries, because we have a lot of people pleasers out there because we think we're supposed to do all the things. And if we don't do the things, then we're not good enough. And we didn't take good enough care of our family. By putting ourselves last, we're actually not helping our family and people around us. It is deep work.
Yeah.
And to give, I would say, keep going into that place of making yourself feel love and happy. And for kids, I would imagine it might be their pet or funny movie, playing with their friends.
That's where we usually land. Like usually it's a pet or something, like when you're with them and you can feel the love unconditionally and like they're always there for you no matter what mood you're in or whatever. And then they're like, oh, okay, I'm a 5.
I'm a 5. Okay, I like it. I'm a 5. And you know what's sad? Women, they're not even there.
No.
They're not even a 5. The women I work with. Yeah. They start out at negative, like -10.
Because that's what we've been told. I mean, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about, right? So like, go back there a little bit. It's like so you said there's 14 free countries, right?
Fair and equal rights for women.
Fair and equal rights. United States is 16. So that means we're not in the fair and equal rights. And we haven't made it there yet. And I believe this could be for a whole nother podcast. We're not going to get there the way we're going. We can't even have fair and free rights for the normal person, let alone a woman. But anyways, another podcast. So knowing that, so we have a lot of work to do just in the United States. And we have a lot of work to do. You're saying like we're 150 years behind schedule to where we should be.
We're eons behind.
Eons.
And that's why this book, to me, COVID was an awakening.
Yeah.
It was a spiritual awakening for the whole world. Mm-hmm. And whether we believe it was real or not, it still happened. And we have all these markers in time, aftermath, after World War II, after Vietnam, after 9/11, and now we've got COVID, right? Yeah. And these are along the timeline. If I go back and look at how women have been doing themselves, we've been really making ourselves sick and trying to do all the things. So I believe it's really important to focus back at one little thing. And if we don't, that's why I say women will awaken the new paradigm where we need to be, where we're supposed to be when we start loving ourselves, setting boundaries, addressing shadow, loving the ego anyway. That's forgiveness, right? We talked about that. So that is accumulation of all of the things that, I don't know if I answered your question, but that have happened over time. And we make these mental notes. Oh, what were women doing then? What were women doing then? How did that happen? So when we had COVID, everything changed. And, abuse at home got worse. Yeah. And there was a lot of divorces and breakups, and we did school differently and we did work differently. It set the tone for the next innovative way of living. And actually, I think Mother Earth healed a little bit too. I
don't know why I'm going to tell people this. You can think I'm crazy, but so right before COVID, I would drive back and forth to the gym. And I was like, I had my crazy life with my kids, and I was trying to get back from the gym to get to my kids so I could get them ready and get them out the door and all this. This was right before COVID. And I was sitting in my car one morning and there was so much traffic, and I literally had a flash in my head that was, there's not going to be any traffic anymore. And I thought, that's really weird. And I had a visual of the roads being completely like barren with no cars on it. And I was like, why would I even think that? Not kidding. 3 weeks later, that's when the lockdown happened. And there was literally nobody on the road.
They're not the only one that got that information. There were a lot of women who received that message of something weird is coming. And I even made a post on Facebook about it in February, when it happened. Yeah. So in 2020, February, I posted something big is coming. Yeah. And I think it was divine feminine energy rattling us up and saying, come on, we got to let's go. And if we're going to live a human life, we need to understand what we're really here for. And to me, we're really here for falling in love with ourselves and learning what self-love truly is. And women have been the most neglected, be it because of ourselves, because we need to take some accountability, and because of the way the world is and has been. Still, if we don't step forward and take back our power, then this is going to continue. These cycles.
And so what can, as a woman, like I feel really called to like talk about this because it's the journey that I feel like I've been on this earth to figure out, and it's love. And so I've done all these, like for me personally, I'll just give myself, I'll put myself out there a little bit. I've went through bad relationships. I've done like what you would call like the trauma work, all these things. And I am in this place where like, I know I love myself.
We know it.
Yeah, we know it, but I don't know sometimes here.
Is it really all the time?
Yeah.
Is it the most important thing? Am I making it the most important thing?
No.
And we don't.
No, because I get distracted and then I'll do it for a little bit and then I kind of go back to my old ways. And so then it's like, I guess for a woman, you know, who's done some work, but is still sitting there listening, saying, well, I've got kids, I've got a podcast, I've got, you know, this business that I'm starting up or this job that's really stressful for me. Is it working with somebody like you on like on a weekly basis or learning from you and then going and doing it with other women? Like what is the best path forward for people who know that they're here to do that? And like, it's actually kind of sad because it's almost like you do feel like a little bit of a failure, especially when I talk to people about loving themselves and knowing that they're worthy. And then I go and I'll be crying in the corner one day, you know, with my hormones all over the place.
Yeah, and it's a whole other thing too, right? Like women are being addressed for our hormones, but anyway, side note, working with a coach is really important, but spiritual work comes from within.
Yeah.
And there's so many really good books out there and so many good podcasts and so many good practitioners. But the most important thing for women and for humanity is having a group of friends. Because there was a study, I think it was UCLA, I could be wrong. It's in my book. Everything's in my book. That it is more unhealthy for a woman not to have a group of friends than smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so not having friendships or a community is the most unhealthy thing we can do. Having a friend that is preferably not toxic because we don't want to get into a negative, pessimistic kind of relationship, but a really true friend who's going to be direct and honest, but love us anyway.
Yeah.
And help lift us up. There's a group of women I worked with. So I've been doing women's circles probably since 2015, 16.
Yeah.
And this particular circle was a self-love circle. And I started that in January of 2021.
Okay.
And this group of women still are tight today. They still, and I'm still in their group texts and things like that. It's really awesome. But yeah, it's been really a positive experience.
So it's basically like lift each other up, because a lot of the women that, you know, you meet in corporate America or whatever, they're out there trying to have like the masculine energy, play the politics, things like that. And you're not like really supporting each other. And
It's a competition.
Yeah.
And to me, there's no competition. I should be competing with myself to be better.
Yeah.
All the time. And if I'm not doing that, then it's unhealthy. And then do you really want to hang out with those kinds of people, right?
Right. No.
So do what you can, the best you can, because we talked about sometimes you just can't leave your job.
Right.
Right. So that is really important, paying attention to that.
Okay. That's great. I'm going to go into something that is like my part-time passion, I guess you could say. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about intuition as women, and like the people I've talked to, things I've read, and even myself. It seems to be that if you've had some like trauma in your life early on, you're a little bit more intuitive, but you shut it down. Can you talk through like how you use your intuitive powers to help you I don't know if that's make life decisions.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to go back a little bit. So I grew up in a really abusive home. And in order to survive, I had to read the energy of the person who was the abuser, right? Going into the house, understanding, reading, and adjusting my behavior or actions based on that. 7 years old. Right after I had that near-death experience where I got hit by a car, and I went to a place that was this really warm, beautiful place. I'll call it the in-between because that's how, when I was little, I used to call it that. Yeah. And then I kind of forgot about that. And then this whole thing happened with my family, and then I'm living with this abusive stepmother. And my dad worked nights, so he really didn't know what was happening. He knew. I think he knew, but he just didn't want to like deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, confrontation. Knowing how to read energy is the gift that everyone has, right? You walk into a party, a room full of strangers, or you go to work and you're like, whoa, what's wrong with that person? Or, ew, I don't want to hang out with that one. I'm not talking to that one. Or, oh, I'm going to go over there and talk to that one.
Yeah.
Because you feel the energy, you feel the vibe, right? Yeah. So we all have this ability. We just ignore it or push it down or whatever. On a day-to-day basis, when I'm doing this work, I always channel before a client comes, so it's not subjective and it's not influenced. My readings are not influenced by their presence. Okay. I want it to be pure channeling. And now, granted, I've been reading energy since I was 7. Right. And even before that, like, right? Because if we've had imaginary friends as littles, we're talking to spirit. Yeah. They were real.
So that's what I told my sister, that I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. So she has a 2-year-old, well, she's 2.5 now, but she was pregnant. And the 2-year-old kept saying that Juju's here, and Juju's in the room, and my sister's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I think that Juju's actually real, and it might be the baby in your stomach. Like they can talk. And so my sister was having this like hard time figuring out what to name the baby. And I said, well, just look for like signs, you know, who knows, maybe there'll be something on whatever. And she called me and she's like, Christina, you're right. Like I was been like praying and getting in with my intuition and asking like, give me a sign. I got into my car and there was a keychain next to the door that said Julia.
Oh,
and
goosebumps. That's so cute.
Yeah. And so she's like, I'm going to name her Julia. And I think you're right. I think Nora keeps calling her Juju. So we're going to call her Juju for short.
That's awesome. I love that.
But it goes to what you're saying. Like you've got to, like, it's a channel, right? That you open up. Okay. So keep going.
Well, children are, only intuition. Everything's innate, right? Infants can only communicate, and we have to figure out they're hungry or they're wet or whatever. And this goes on from, we shut that down, and when we're like 7, 8 years old, we become more, we're here on Earth. Like we're less in the play world and intuition, and we're more here. Yeah. Or in this is what we call reality. I don't know if it's real. But anyway, that actually was something that I've always had, but to survive my childhood, I shut down everything else and just became the robot. And then, growing up in a tough neighborhood, we had gangs in our neighborhood. And there was things happening there. So you had to learn how to read that energy and where my gut's saying, don't go down that street, go down this one, right? Being able to trust our gut is really important. And I was taught at a young age that's all I had. Hopefully that's not the story for everybody. And a lot of people grow up in a traditional situation. It's not open-minded talking about light energy and Reiki and tarot cards and, psychic impressions. My kids got to grow up with that and crystals and stones and, things like that. It was a lot of fun, but using it now is it's part of me. It would be harder for me to answer, oh, well, what is a day like without using your intuition? My father left this world about 12 years ago. Okay. And I talk to him more now than I ever did.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. He's always here. And it's just another dimension. Yeah. It's just energy. There's a veil, right? I've had the opportunity to see so many gurus speak in person, like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Anita Morjani, and Sonia Choquette, and on, Sue Mortar. And they all connect spirituality to science and the fact that, this is just what we perceive as reality. And how do we change our reality? And that all starts here. The heart coherence exercise is really important, and meditating in that is powerful.
And what do you think causes this reality or this society that we're living in to shut that down? Because there are so many gurus out there and there's so much information, but what is your intuition saying about why do we not allow this? You started this in your friend 1994 or 1996, back then this was really crazy woo woo, that was crazy, but now it's kind of starting to be a little bit more mainstream. More people are talking about it, but it's still, what's taking so long?
Resistance, like you said, woo woo could be crazy. And I had a boss who was really open to this, but he tried to be resistant. When I worked in government, he was responsible for, it was the village board. I reported to the village board and the village manager. Yeah. And when it came time for hiring, they would get all these resumes in. Yeah. Right? Back then it was paper resumes.
I remember.
Yeah. And they were mailed in. And so he would put out on the table all of the resumes that they didn't even look at yet. And he'd say, okay, Swami. He goes, tell me which one. And I'd vibe out, and I was right.
That's cool.
And he was like, did you open them and seal them back up? I'm like, no, dude. I don't even know how to do that. And then there was another time where they had...
You wished you were around when I had my recruiting company.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But another time he had me, he narrowed it down to 3 candidates. And he's like, we made a decision. Do you know which one it is? And I'm like, yeah, it's blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you were listening at the door. Oh, that poor little cardinal. Hi.
Oh, this cardinal is...
Oh, my goodness.
This cardinal does this all day long.
Wow.
It comes in the morning. This is odd. Usually it's not here right now. It comes in the morning and it comes at night and it taps at the window. It's attacking itself, I think, but...
How interesting. All the other birds are like, what are you doing?
Yeah, look at them all. They're looking.
Are you crazy? Why are you doing that? Oh, my goodness. That's funny. Anyway, I don't know what I was talking about because that was really interesting. But it's interesting. We were talking about energies and not being reality. And, just because we leave this physical body doesn't mean we're gone.
That's actually weird. So my husband and his mother lives with us, and they were really close with her husband, his dad. And about 13 years ago, he passed away. And we think that might be him trying to tell us something.
Well, geez, you might want to tune into that energy.
Yeah.
Ask. I would ask.
You would ask.
Hey, what is this? What do you want me to know? Once we get into this heart coherence with these simple little exercises, and we do deeper, longer meditations, we can get into a place of, my heart, what do you need from me? My heart, what do you desire? And then we can expand it out. Because our heart is the psychic part of ourselves. I don't know if you've heard, there's studies done. So there are many studies done that will say the heart reacts psychically prior to information being delivered that the eyes can see. So Heart Math Institute did a study where they hooked up all these electrodes to the heart and to the head, and they had a blank computer screen in front of each participant. And in the moment before the image came up, the heart reacted and responded, and the brain didn't react until it saw the image. So it could be an image of war or bunnies or babies or horrible things, and the reaction came here first. So if we tune into how powerful our heart is, another study that has been done, I don't know if you heard, that we walk around with the measurement of photons of light frequency in our heart space from about 1,000 to 5,000 on an average day. Okay. When we meditate in gratitude and love, it goes to 100,000 photons of light.
Wow.
Okay, and that's expansive and huge. Okay, so if we're thinking about all that energy that we're expanding out, we can expand that information to the world, to the universe. And the universe responds in kind when we are looking for answers. So that's why I always say the heart has the answers.
That's interesting. That's interesting because we're going through this whole thing right now, that I can't really get too much into it, but I went to bed last night and I was like meditating and saying, hey, just give me a sign that everything's going to be okay. And I woke up this morning right before my alarm went off, and I had somebody saying, Christina, it's going to be okay. Wake up. It's time to wake up now. And I got up and I was like, it made me like very emotional, because I was like, oh, something, I am connected to something, you know, but I still am, I think the little bit of like where I grew up and what I was told, that was all evil and bad.
And that's a lot of people, and that's that resistance. Mm-hmm. That's why we're not where we need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I want to come do the training with you, because I want to learn how to help, especially these kids that I'm seeing, you know, open up more to that, where it's like I have certain things, my training with hypnosis and things like that, I can help with the mind, but it's like I need to understand more about I'm getting like this heart opening, because it's even if when you're like, when something bad's about to happen, like say a car's about to come at you or something, I know what you're talking about. You feel it, like your heart rate races first. And it's almost like a split second before any of it actually happens. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're saying, get in touch with.
Get in touch with that, because we're going to tap into information that we, in being a robot, are not going to tap into. Mm-hmm. Even if we're only half-assing this meditation, it still does something.
Right.
You know, but we want to be able to practice that. I don't practice that every day, but I do the nighttime, middle of the day, and more upon waking. Next week I get to spend with my grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that puts me in this space of pure joy and being in their world.
Yes.
You know, painting and playing school and playing choo-choo train and all these, you know, dancing, lots of dancing. And it's fun.
And it brings you back to that, what you've been talking about, that playful childlike energy, right?
The inner child really needs nurturing. Mm-hmm. Because maybe it wasn't nurtured, or maybe it wasn't nurtured in the way we need it. And that is where all the secrets lie. Yeah. In our inner child, and igniting that heart fire and all of that.
So do you feel comfortable talking about a little bit more about the intuitive stuff that you've worked on, and like how you've, seen certain things and kind of had to set boundaries and stuff like that?
Yeah. Okay. I can give you, first I want to tell you that in the 90s, when I was doing all that Reiki training, I also took psychic development training.
Okay.
And I did the Sylvan method. And then I did, which is a way of meditating. And then I also worked with this woman who was on a consultant for the Chicago Police Department. Okay. She was a psychic consultant. Okay. And she actually helped solve a murder of a young girl. I'm going to date myself, but it was Jacqueline DeWallaby in Chicago, in the Chicago area. And she was missing, but she was, they couldn't find her. And this psychic woman helped him find her. And so I took training from her. And we did some really cool things, and it was all fun. The next, I want to make sure I stay on track here. So the psychic parts of ourselves. What else would you ask?
Yeah, I said, tell us like how the things that you've seen and how you've had to set kind of boundaries. Like,
I ended up doing 2 exorcisms and not know it.
Oh wow!
So I had a healing center, and for 6 years, and we had 20 different practitioners there, and this woman brought her child in, who was having these nightmares of an entity, of a man chasing her with a knife and trying to kill her. And she was like 5, 7, somewhere in there. Yeah. And I was doing energy work and helping her calm down and talking with her about things. And the mom said, oh, wow, she's a lot different. Well, that night I went home and I started vomiting for like 36 hours straight. I didn't understand. So I called one of my gurus, and they said, you took the energy on. I go, I didn't do that. I don't do that. That's not, no, I don't believe it. Yeah. And they're like, you did. And so do some breath work with the light of the angels, whatever, to get that energy out. And I did. And then the next time, and I still was like, is that real? Is that real?
Yeah, it was like surreal. It wasn't, yeah.
That's my resistance. Like, it was my resistance coming out. I've never experienced that before. The next time I had an experience, I had a woman come in for craniosacral therapy.
Okay.
And she's on the table. And oftentimes when people are on the table receiving this work, there's crying, there's moaning, there's memories that come up, trauma, and we're releasing all that trauma. And this woman started making some weird noises and then gurgling. And I said, hey, are you okay? I went to check in with her. And then the voice that came out was not hers. And she's like all this weird gurgling. And I'm like, okay. So I just kept doing my work.
Yeah.
And I knew I was protected because, why? Because I've been doing this work for a long time. And that one experience with the little kid, I was like, armor on, right? Like whatever I need. And this went on through the session for about 20 minutes. And then she came back at the end and she says, what happened?
Oh, she didn't remember.
And I'm like, part of me's like, what?
Yeah.
Are you joking me right now? Like, what's going on? We finished her session. She said, can I come back for another? I said, well, sure, because she felt better.
Yeah.
And she said, I still feel like I left my body, but I could hear what was going on, but I wanted to hear what you thought was happening. And after talking about it, the next time she came, I had 6 of my practitioners in a room surrounded with salt, crystals, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I had this one woman who I thought had a lot of experience in doing this work. And I had 3 other younger, more athletic women in there with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm 5 feet tall, and I at the time was probably 50. So woman comes in, get her on the table. She starts right away, and now she's standing up on the massage table. And I'm the lead practitioner. And I'm holding on to her, and she's swaying back, and she's speaking in pretend language. I don't even know what it was. She's making all these noises, and all these women who were supposed to help me, they're like, whoop.
Yeah.
And they're against the walls. And I'm like, can I have some help here? Like, you're stronger than me, younger than me. Help me. They were like freaking out.
Oh, no.
So I had to lead and do the whole thing, which it's kind of hilarious now. But like back then, it's like physically exhausting because I'm managing so she doesn't fall off the table. And she fell into my arms, and then, we got her back down, and she said she felt better and never came back again. Interesting. But then I told the universe, I never want to do that again.
Right.
No, that is not my thing. I will face anything, but I'm not doing that. Okay, now I haven't had that experience anymore. But those taught me that if I'm not careful and having awareness focused into protecting myself, protecting my space, or putting the energy out that I only want this kind of client, which is what I do now. I want more clients like this person. I want to do this. I want to do that. Those people come to me. And yeah, I still have the person who's occasionally challenging. But if I don't get challenged, I don't get better.
That's right. Yeah.
So I want to...
Yeah, you don't want it always easy because the game of life isn't always supposed to be easy. Like you don't...
It gets boring.
Yeah. That's a good way to...
That psychic ability is a gift, and it's also something to be managed and honored and, practiced.
So interesting. I have another weird question, but and you could think this is really weird. So like when you walk in, so like when you first met me face to face, do you get like a intuition hit and you're like, and how does it come? And like, what do you feel?
I'm really centered in my heart, so I felt really light and good. And I was like, oh, she's got good vibes. Like when you came out to greet me, that was so sweet. And yeah, and when we talked on the phone, I felt the same thing. And that's why I asked, Yeah, for you to do this.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, and then do you, when you're around people, say, well, you kind of can figure out who's going to come into your office because you're dictating that. But I don't know, like somebody who is a cashier that you have to interact with, do you get an intuition hit on them?
So. Most of the time I turn that off.
Okay.
So there are ways I tell clients. I had a client tell me once, oh my God, I'm walking down the street and I feel that person's energy from that house, and that house is this, and that house. I go, you are an out of control empath. Like, what are you doing? You're in everybody else's business, and you have to really be in your own lane when you're practicing being an empath or a psychic, because we all are empathic and psychic. So yeah, minding my own business, and I don't go into, but I will tell you on occasion if I'm in the store or out somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've only done it 3 times tonight. In fact, this was a couple of years ago. I was at a restaurant in Idaho. Yeah. Right outside of Yellowstone Park, like up there. Yeah. And this woman was our server, our waitress. And I was telling my partner at the time, I'm like, I have to tell her something. I have to tell her something. And he's like, do it.
Yeah.
So I did, and I said to her, I feel like there's a younger woman in your life that needs, that you need to know she's coming back, and she'll be okay. And she started sobbing. It was her niece who had gone off with this really bad guy, and she just started reaching back into the family, and this was a confirmation that she needed to hear. So every once in a while, I will speak out of,
Because it's like really coming through.
yeah. And sometimes even on the table, I call myself a non-invasive psychic.
Yeah.
I have friends who will just go, did you have this happen to you when you were this age? And did this happen to you? And are you experiencing this? I don't do that to people.
Yeah.
Because that's none of my business. And they don't want to always talk about it. I'm more like a double check. If they're in to see me as a client, they're here for that.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes they have a block of energy. And I go, I'm sensing there's a block around something that might be going on with your mom.
Yeah.
But I don't go beyond that. I said, let's see if it comes out in session. Because I don't want to read something that's irrelevant and they don't want to deal with, because it's going to shut them down.
Yeah, that's right.
So out in public, yeah, I can pick up energy. Most people can. And I send love and light to some people who really have this heavy energy or sadness.
That's awesome. Anything else interesting you want to talk about with the book, or anything else I didn't ask about?
No, I just would really like to implore women to allow themselves to come first once in a while, because then we're going to be better mothers, better partners, better friend. We're going to be better at our job if we start tuning in and listening to ourselves. We have so much power that we continue to give away or ignore, that just by speaking our truth with loving kindness, doesn't mean we have to be a jerk about setting the boundary, and be kind and loving, but yet firm, and not be afraid of that part of ourselves. It's really important, and some women mistake that as well. Am I being masculine if I'm saying, no, that's not masculine?
Yeah, it's a good point to really point out. So it's like, if something doesn't feel good for you and you don't want to do it, then it's okay to say, this doesn't feel good for me, and I'm going to choose to do these other things. Yeah. And we're not taught how to do that.
No. I think I'm hoping that the next couple of generations are, because we have a Gen X. Well, I'm Gen X. What is it? Gen Z,
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the Alpha generation's right behind them. So my son is Gen Z. My daughters are millennials. I had a kid every decade, in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. It just worked out. But anyway, I like watching his generation, because they're facing a lot of challenge, and they're doing better speaking their truth than any other that I've seen. I could have limited purview, but that is what I'm seeing, and I'm liking it. And that's why I say, when I see these millennial couples there's an imbalance, it's usually because the woman hasn't been shown that it can be any other way, or she's choosing this. And you don't know until you know. And unfortunately, a lot of women used to come to me when they were really, really sick. And that's what I'm writing about. Women getting themselves through an illness or facing death. And there's stories about that in there too.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, because there's a lot of, so it's like women hold these issues in their body, and it causes dis-ease, right? Yeah. And that's what you're if you've got to speak your truth, because you need to be able to get that out.
Yes, you have to speak your truth, but also have to be able to get ourselves into a place of believing our truth, believing that we have a right to it, and doing action is the other part of it, like actually holding those boundaries.
And that's why it's really important to have a really strong community of women to lean on and for accountability.
How many women do we know that will be like, what are you, crazy? What are you doing that for? Our friends, like girlfriends, be like, don't put up with that.
Yeah.
Or we'll say something negative about it. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Never say that about yourself. And they remind us that even that words and thoughts have frequency.
Yes.
And if I'm putting that energy out there, even as a joke, it has an energetic frequency.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So what am I doing to myself every time I say something like that?
Yeah. And I guess too, it's like if you could get into a practice of, say, you just think like, oh, that was dumb or I was dumb or whatever, then you're like, okay, nope, please, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Like, yeah, like just like, okay, I'm going back. I said that, but I'm going back to the I love you.
Yes. And then the women in the group would always say, you're beautiful. Yeah. When there was like, I'm sorry, you're beautiful. Don't even apologize. Yes. No apologies.
That's so pretty. That's so awesome. That's what I teach a lot of the girls that I'm with. I'm like, how often do you say, I'm beautiful, and really believe it? And look in the mirror and look at how beautiful you are. Not somebody else's beauty that says, you need to be like this or you need to be like that. Like, look at, like, you're living, you have beautiful eyes, you have all this uniqueness. And we don't teach our girls that.
Because nobody talks like that to each other.
No, they don't.
Moms are always, I don't want to say always, moms aren't always, but a lot of women will speak negatively, and the little ones pick that information.
Yes,
and
because
they learn how to treat themselves and their partners and what they can expect treatment from their relationships.
It's so true, because I'm a boy mom, so I have boys, and even my boys, like for a long time, I hated my body. It's been like a love-hate relationship, but my boys pick up on that, and they're like, Mom, you're so pretty. Don't say that about yourself. Like, but then I'll see them saying stuff about their own bodies. And I'm like, ooh, that was probably from me,
Yeah. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
We have to be careful.
Yeah. Well, my last question for you, I like to ask this to everybody, and I have a feeling I know what your answer is, but surprise me. Outside of like being an author, being a healer, intuitive, a psychic, all of these titles, mother, all these things that you give yourself, what would you say you truly are? Who are you?
Oh my goodness. I am a divine feminine being. I thought you were going to ask me what do I love most in my role right now, and that's a hard one because the grandma thing is an amazing role to have. But who I truly am is who we all are, and that we are the love light of our life.
Love light. Yep. That's what I thought you were going to say. I used my intuitive. I'm just kidding. And it's sitting right here. All right. Well, I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you for sharing yourself and all of your information with the listeners. And listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned a lot about your divine feminine energy and learning how to really love yourself and some actionable items you can take with you. Again, remember, do your meditation in the morning for a minute and at night, just remembering what love is for you and holding that in your heart. So thank you. We love you and have a wonderful day. Until next time.
Thank you.